3.6 million students in the United States to use e-cigarettes in the past 30 days. Of those 3.6 million, 4.7% of them were from middle school and 19.6 were high school students.
Using an e-cigarette is sometimes called vaping.
Puff bar.
Dueling, vaping.
Soul, disposable.
Bang.
Kids these days don't smoke pot. They vape THC. And in this electronic cigarette, here's a standard cartridge. There are a few different architectures, but by far the most common is this one that I show you here. This is actually an X-ray computed tomography scan. So it's just like a CT scan you get at the doctor. And so what you can see is that there's this glass tube here, and then a bronze tube on the inside. And inside that glass tube is held the oil through a little hole that's right here. The oil can come in to a silica wick, we call it. It's basically just a piece of porous rock with a heating coil on the inside. You can just see the wire in there. So that heating coil gets really hot, and vapor comes out. Now, that vapor, I'm not boiling the THC. What's actually happening is mostly making an aerosol of suspended particles. That's why we can see it. It's not a gas. It's actually suspended liquid droplets floating in the air. There is no reason to expect this process to be the same as smoking, and it's important to understand how it's different.
There are other elements of the product that you're inhaling that are dangerous and toxic, whether they're ultrafine particulates, heavy metals like lead and tin and nickel. The dangerous part is that you're inhaling heated products, so to take from solution into vapor, and everything that carries with that vapor goes, as you inhale, goes into your lungs.
The problem is that this oil may be able to leach some of the lead out of it. And remember, what I inhale is not a gas, it's mostly aerosol particles. And these aerosol particles are droplets of liquid. They're very small, but they're still liquid, and they can carry whatever is dissolved in them right inside me.
E-cigarettes produce that aerosol by heating a liquid that usually contains nicotine, flavorings, and other chemicals that help make it. That nicotine is the addictive drug in regular cigarettes, cigars, and other tobacco products. When a user inhales that vape, and they're inhaling that extra aerosol, they're also inhaling that water vapor. So not only is it the addictive drugs from nicotine and any other chemicals that are in the vape that they're inhaling, but it's also a higher level of water vapor. Users inhale the aerosol from the vape into their lungs, and when they exhale the aerosol, bystanders can also inhale it.
None of this stuff has been tested for safety in any meaningful way. About a year and a half ago, I was hospitalized. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. I don't remember much from the first few days in the hospital because I was so low on oxygen that my brain wasn't working right. I felt incredible pain in my stomach, especially. I was short of breath. I had to be on oxygen all the time. And my lungs were badly enough damaged that the doctors told me I might not ever get off of oxygen. Some people died, and some people had much more permanent damage than I did. So I was one of the very lucky people.
So we did see an increase in people in general who were vaping, being admitted to ICUs for lung problems.
The way the chemicals are getting down into the deep lung sacs, worse than tobacco. So I'm perplexed that we have an item on the market worse than cigarette tobacco.
We find that students are vaping in bathrooms. Some of the consequences could be an in-school suspension, an out-of-school suspension, depending on what they're vaping, how much they have on them. It could definitely resort in some police involvement. And obviously we're not here to arrest students. We want to see them excel and do well in school. So we're trying to avoid that as much as possible, but obviously we understand that as law enforcement officers, we're here to also do a job. And we will work with the school and with those students.
The properties in the vaping and the chemicals in the vaping are so addictive that it doesn't ever become a casual use for teenagers.
So I first got introduced to it at a party, and it was initiated towards me because of the fact that it was, oh, it's cold outside, you don't have to go outside to smoke a cigarette, you can just go inside and smoke it. And I thought, wow, this is much more convenient. It's a little flash drive. It allowed me to get the nicotine that I needed. Smoking in general causes damage to your teeth because you are using it via your mouth. So all those chemicals and all those, and the smoke, especially with e-cigarettes, they're going to cause damage to your teeth. I had a lot of cavities because of it. And I thought it was just, oh, I eat a lot of sweets. No, it was because of smoking. And there's just a lot more cons than pros to it. The pro is having a 5-minute high versus the cons, teeth, your lungs, money. I was using it as a coping mechanism for other mental health issues that I had. So I constantly have to worry about and stress about, the money and the smell and the devices and trying to hide it, and that's a big thing when I was, starting just hiding it. Every time I would stuff down the emotions I would feel towards my addiction, but it just made me feel, I would constantly ask myself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I got to a point where it wasn't worth it. So when I first quit, I had a lot of, if I could be honest, I had a lot of withdrawals from it because nicotine is very highly addicting. And a lot of coughing, a lot of just physical symptoms like mucus, a lot of headaches, a lot of headaches. Now I'm so glad I did it. I am so glad I stopped. I want to be able to let the youth know that this isn't something to take it lightly. You're talking to a person that has experienced nicotine addiction for 6 or 7 years. Yes, it was fun in the beginning, but now I look back at it and I really regret even doing it. I come here to let you guys know about my experience and let you hear firsthand how this does affect me, but it could also affect you also.
When you go run and you get that runner's high and you get those endorphins or those serotonins, when they come from within you and your body builds them as a response to something healthy like exercise, really nice, wonderful. It's how our bodies were made to react. When you have to do that from the outside in and in an artificial way, and it's not really medication and it's not something from your doctor, it's just something you go buy at a gas station, not the way it should be.
For your performance level to be high, you need to be 100%, and vaping brings you down way below 100%. Brings down your focus and your mental stamina, your physical stamina, and your overall performance in the game.
More than anything, it's a waste of time and money. If I want to get where I want to be in the future, I know it's imperative that I stay away from stuff like that. That can only be harmful to my athletic career.
If you haven't tried vaping, don't start. Vaping is highly addictive. And if you wouldn't want to take the, no matter how much in the moment, how cool you think you are, I would say don't start.
It's really not cool. It affects you in so many negative ways. And I care about you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you.
People feel like the only way to stand out is to be cool. And usually that's really just following with the crowd. So just understand that you don't have to do that and just be you. And you're just going to make it to your own self.
There's no good effects whatsoever from it.
Man, the first time I used it, probably around 12, burnt my throat. I was like, nah, you know what I mean? It just didn't feel right.
It's hard to explain the feeling. It's just you just feel a numb feeling just come down on you, and it honestly it wasn't worth it.
I don't vape. I don't think that is good. I've tried it in the past. I just don't like nicotine. It's just not for me. I don't really think that any student should be using it at all, especially trying to get other people to use it. If someone says no, they say no, just leave it alone.
Often we talk about what you're not supposed to do, and we teach kids that negative goals aren't great. You don't say, I don't do this, don't do this. Don't vape is a negative goal. But if you can get them doing a lot of healthy things that fill that space and time, those healthy habits create more healthy habits. And you don't have to say don't vape. You have to say be a great version of yourself, and how are you eating, and how are you sleeping, and how are you moving to be this great, healthy, dynamic person that participates on the planet Earth. So it's not always the don'ts, it's let's work on the do's also.
You could always talk to, you could tell a friend who could help you reach out, and you could also tell, obviously, a counselor or someone at your school who you know can help you in that way. Just like mostly for support and to go reach out and get better help.
The school nurse would definitely be a person that would be open to talking to you. We do have ethical standards about counseling you and getting you to open up to your parents directly, but we do have to keep things in confidence. If teenagers want to come tell us something, we do not have the privilege of sharing those things with the parents.
Instead of vaping or smoking, you could do TikTok, you could go play soccer, you could play basketball, any type of sport, you could go cook, you could learn how to make something new.
You can listen to some great music.
You could try new food, go to new ice cream places.
Let your feelings out if you need to a pillow, into your bed.
Do the things that you love and do the things that make you feel like you're you.
I like to fish a lot during my summer times.
Do your hair, do your makeup.
You can go to work, you know what I'm saying, just be productive in your life.
You could get some missing work done, do your assignments. You could do so much more.
Here's some information about how you can get help with vaping and smoking.